Jasmine stays quiet at first, letting the others throw their punches, trade stats, and bicker over budgets and crime rates. She's not here to make a racket, she's here to speak when it counts. But Trump, as ever, is itching to stir the pot. About 35 minutes in, during a fiery clash on leadership and accountability, he locks eyes with her and drops the bombshell. Maybe if some of these young politicians stopped trying to go viral and started learning their place, this country wouldn't be such a mess. There it is. He doesn't name her, but he doesn't need to. A few awkward chuckles ripple through the crowd. One of the moderators tries to steer the conversation elsewhere, but Jasmine raises a hand, her voice calm, firm. Not a hint of a shout, and maybe that's why it cuts so deep. "Mr. Trump," she says, staring him down, "I know you're used to people clapping for nonsense, but respect isn't handed out based on age or title. It's earned. And given your record, you might want to sit this one out." Silence. It lasts maybe 4 seconds, but it feels like 10. Then comes the gasp, raw, audible. Someone near the front whispers, "Whoa!" and the microphones pick it up. Trump blinks, leans back slightly, chuckles, and reaches for his water. But for once, he's got no comeback. Not straight away. And that alone makes this moment unforgettable. The moderators look gobsmacked, the other guests shift uncomfortably in their seats, and the cameras capture every reaction. Wide eyes, tightened lips. Viewers at home are left wondering if they've just seen a political slapdown or something much bigger. The narrative continues with the escalating media frenzy around Jasmine, with her face everywhere. Debates, viral reels and comment sections. Networks clamor for her first interview, book deals are floated, and threats intensify, prompting Capitol Police to recommend private security. Meanwhile, supportive messages and op-eds from everyday people, like a student from Prairie View A&M, highlight her impact on a new generation. Back-channel warnings from political consultants urge her to cool down, while subtle pressure builds within Congress to tone down her approach. A closed-door meeting with party leadership reveals their discomfort with her spotlight, but Jasmine stands firm, refusing to be silenced. A week later, she faces Trump again in a pre-recorded interview, handling the exchange with calm precision, focusing on policy while acknowledging the weight of words. The segment doesn't spark a firestorm, but reaches those tired of political shouting, shifting the conversation. Over time, her moment inspires subtle changes. Younger reps speak with more edge, voters re-engage, and cultural currents shift. Jasmine remains grounded, attending local town halls, prioritizing consistency over celebrity. The story closes with a reflection on speaking truth without permission, urging readers to consider what they'd say when their moment comes. Imagine the scene. A buzzing studio in Dallas, Texas, just past 8 p.m. The air crackling with tension before the red light even flicks on. It's not the excited kind of buzz, mind you. This is different. It's electric heavy, like everyone on set knows something's about to kick off. Seasoned presenters clutch their cue cards. Producers flash sharp hand signals behind the cameras, and a carefully picked audience tries to play it cool, though half of them are practically perched on the edge of their seats. This is a national town hall event, broadcast live across multiple networks, a round-table discussion with no teleprompters, no safety nets. On one side of the table sits former President Donald Trump, flanked by 2 conservative analysts. Opposite him, a small group of Democrats, including Representative Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine stays quiet at first, letting the others throw their punches, trade stats, and bicker over budgets and crime rates. She's not here to make a racket, she's here to speak when it counts. But Trump, as ever, is itching to stir the pot. About 35 minutes in, during a fiery clash on leadership and accountability, he locks eyes with her and drops the bombshell. Maybe if some of these young politicians stopped trying to go viral and started learning their place, this country wouldn't be such a mess. There it is. He doesn't name her, but he doesn't need to. A few awkward chuckles ripple through the crowd. One of the moderators tries to steer the conversation elsewhere, but Jasmine raises a hand. Her voice calm, firm, not a hint of a shout, and maybe that's why it cuts so deep. "Mr. Trump," she says, staring him down, "I know you're used to people clapping for nonsense, but respect isn't handed out based on age or title. It's earned. And given your record, you might want to sit this one out." Silence. It lasts maybe 4 seconds, but it feels like 10. Then comes the gasp, raw, audible. Someone near the front whispers, "Whoa!" and the microphones pick it up. Trump blinks, leans back slightly, chuckles and reaches for his water, but for once, he's got no comeback. Not straight away. And that alone makes this moment unforgettable. The moderators look gobsmacked. The other guests shift uncomfortably in their seats, and the cameras capture every reaction, wide eyes, tightened lips. Viewers at home are left wondering if they've just seen a political slapdown or something much bigger. Within seconds, it's all over Twitter clips of the exchange, edited with dramatic music memes galore. Some are already calling it the moment Gen Z found its voice in Congress. Others aren't so impressed, labeling it disrespectful, embarrassing, performative. But what no one can do is ignore it. Back in the studio, the show tries to move on topics, shift to immigration, education, national security. But the vibe has changed. Jasmine sits taller. Trump seems just a tad off-kilter enough to notice. Every camera operator feels it, the audience does too. And here's the thing, Jasmine doesn't look smug. There's no smirk, no gloating. She just sits still, hands folded, listening as if she doesn't need the applause, as if she's not here for it. Some moments in politics are staged. This wasn't. It was raw, unplanned, a proper flashpoint. Whether you loved it or hated it, something shifted. But while the room tries to recover, the real storm is just brewing online, outside, across the country. By the time the broadcast ends, Jasmine Crockett's name is trending on 6 different platforms. People who missed the live town hall are scrambling for clips. Cable networks interrupt their regular programming to replay the exchange podcasts. Drop emergency episodes, late-night hosts crack jokes about it, while political pundits on both sides try to spin it as either a national disgrace or a defining moment of truth. But that first night right after it aired, things get weird. Her phone doesn't stop ringing. Friends, family, old law school professors, college mates. Texts flood in from numbers she hasn't saved. Most are supportive, but a few aren't. Some are downright nasty. Screenshots start circulating, online comments full of rage, veiled threats, coded language. Yet, even through all, that something in the air feels different, not just viral seismic. By 6 a.m. the next morning, the clip of Jasmine's comeback hits 11 million views across TikTok and X. By 8:30, CNN books her for a primetime interview. By noon, 2 think tanks publish reaction pieces, one praising her for flipping the old power script, the other accusing her of grandstanding for social clout. Meanwhile, the Trump campaign doesn't stay quiet for long. That afternoon, a spokesperson releases a statement calling Jasmine's response rude, unprofessional, and yet another example of why Democrats are out of touch with real America. It's clearly crafted to rile up Trump's base, and it works. His followers mobilize online, some defending him, others attacking her. But while the noise ramps up, Jasmine stays out of sight. No tweets, no live streams, no call-ins to shows. She spends the next 2 days in Fort Worth, at her godmother's house phone, on silent, watching the storm build from a distance. Her chief of staff, Leonard Ramos, is losing his marbles trying to handle the media flood. "You've no idea how big this is," he says, pacing the kitchen while Jasmine sits at the table quietly scrolling. This isn't just a clip. This is the moment. People are watching this like it's a Super Bowl ad. She doesn't reply, just taps her screen, and replays the clip again herself, in that chair facing a man twice her age, and 10 times more powerful in the eyes of half the country refusing to flinch. Her godmother, Althea, is washing dishes nearby. She dries her hands, walks over, and looks Jasmine straight in the eye. "You good with what you said?" Jasmine nods once. "I didn't plan it. It just came out." Althea smiles, then lets it stand. But letting it stand doesn't mean letting it go. By the second night, the threats get uglier. Emails mentioning her home district, talk of putting her in her place. Ramos loops in Capitol Police, who start monitoring her house and upping patrols near her Dallas office. Yet it's not all darkness. Something else is happening too. Messages start pouring in from young organizers in Kansas City, political science students in Seattle, first-time voters in Albuquerque, saying they'd never cared about politics until this clip hit their feed. Teachers play the exchange in classrooms. Civic groups use it to discuss speaking out. Parents teach their kids how to handle confrontation with dignity. In one sharp sentence, Jasmine Crockett has accidentally sparked a debate bigger than just Trump. It's about respect, about whose voices get heard, about whether power is shifting or just reacting. And while the world debates, the woman at the center of it all hasn't said a word since the show ended. But silence isn't surrender, and behind the scenes, Jasmine is already gearing up for what's next. Before she became headline news, Jasmine Crockett was someone most Americans outside Texas hadn't heard of. But to the people of the 30th Congressional District, she was a fighter with a sharp tongue and an even sharper memory. She wasn't one of those politicians bred in think tanks or fundraisers. She came up through courtrooms, community centers, and long nights on the south side of Dallas, working pro bono cases when the system cornered people. Born in Shreveport, Louisiana, she grew up watching her mom slog through nursing shifts and her dad fix up knackered cars in a rented garage. Life wasn't easy, but it was honest. Discipline came early. Jasmine once said the only time she got grounded was for not speaking up when she knew someone was lying. That stuck with her. By 15, she'd decided to be a lawyer, not for cash or clout, but as she told her high school civics class, "I want to be the person in the room who says, 'Hold on, that's not right.'" She wasn't the loudest in class, but when she spoke, people listened. After earning her degree from Rhodes College in Memphis, she went to law school at the University of Houston. While her mates took internships at corporate firms, Jasmine spent summers with criminal defense lawyers and advocacy groups volunteering in overcrowded jails, representing clients no one else would touch. By the time she opened her own practice, her reputation was set someone who didn't flinch facing judges twice her age, who could strip truth to the bone and rebuild it so a jury felt it. She didn't stop there. In 2019, when a local representative stepped down, people in her district begged her to run. She was 38, black female, and not afraid to talk back. The establishment thought she hadn't a hope. She won by over 10 points. In Austin, she didn't change, making waves early, calling out party leaders when they played it safe, refusing to pipe down in committee hearings where others folded. She never smiled, just to fit in. That rattled some, inspired others. The congressional seat came in 2022. She'd only been in office a few months when she made national news for challenging a dodgy education bill in a heated subcommittee session. Footage of her calmly reading the fine print while the bill's author squirmed went viral. But Jasmine didn't grin when it blew up. "This isn't entertainment," she told her team. "It's people's lives." So when she landed on that national town hall next to Trump, she wasn't there for ratings. She didn't ask for the invite, didn't wear flashy colors or prep a zinger. She showed up because her district asked her to keep showing up. And when he tried to belittle her with that "learn your place" jab, she didn't respond as a media star or a Democrat. She responded like the girl who got grounded for staying quiet during a lie. In a room built for power and performance, she stayed herself. Even now, back in Dallas, old mates from high school aren't surprised. Her debate coach from Booker T. Washington High texted a staffer, "She's always had that look, like say something daft and see what happens." But Jasmine isn't celebrating. There's no smile in the photos. If anything, she looks knackered. Because when you're one of the few willing to speak up, the silence that follows can be deafening. But that silence is about to be shattered again. Because not everyone in Washington is chuffed with the attention she's getting. The next time Jasmine walks into the Capitol, everything feels off. Not in a dramatic way, no one confronts her outright. No one throws shade in public, but it's shifted. It's subtle, like a temperature drop you don't notice until you sit still. The usual hellos are shorter. Some colleagues smile with their mouths, not their eyes. A senior rep from Ohio, who used to pull her aside for strategy chats, now barely glances her way in the lift. Her name isn't mentioned at caucus meetings, even as national media keep replaying her clash with Trump like it's the Bloody Zapruder film. Leonard calls it respectful avoidance. "They're not coming for you," he tells her one morning in the underground tunnel between office buildings, "but they don't know what to do with you either." Jasmine doesn't reply. She's used to being underestimated, but this is different. Now they see her, and that makes her dangerous. On the surface, nothing's changed. She attends the same committee hearings, asks the same pointed questions, shows up, does the work. But she feels it, the shift in weight when she speaks. Some roll their eyes before she's even finished. Others lean in. Not because they agree, but because they're waiting to see what she'll say next. The following week, she sits in on a policy discussion in room 216 of the Cannon House office building, a closed-door meeting with both parties to hash out budget priorities before recess. Normally, it's tense, but manageable. But halfway through, Representative Neil Camden from Nebraska leans forward with a smile too wide. "Maybe we'd make more progress if people weren't more focused on going viral than writing policy." A few members chuckle, some avoid eye contact. Jasmine just blinks. Is that directed at me? Camden shrugs. Just a general observation. She lets the silence hang not long, just enough. You want to talk about substance, she says, voice flat. Let's start with your farm subsidy line item from last session. Care to explain how that snuck into a veterans bill? You could hear the breath catch in his throat. Someone scribbles a note, flips a page. No one laughs. Jasmine doesn't push further. She doesn't need to. She just opens her folder and keeps reading. After the meeting, a younger rep, Miguel Rosado, from New Mexico, catches up to her in the hallway. That was surgical, he says, keeping his voice low. I've wanted to call Camden out for months. Jasmine glances at him sideways. Why didn't you? Miguel hesitates. He's been here 23 years, and I'm still on the subcommittee that votes on my water project. She nods once. She gets it. It's not just about calling someone out, it's about what it costs you. Back in her office, she sits at her desk staring out the window. The city hums. As always, motorcades, lobbyists, tourists, snapping pics by the reflecting pool. Business as usual. But inside these walls, people are talking about her, not always aloud, not always fairly. The message is clear. She's disrupted the script, and the ones who've written it, who've benefited from it for decades, aren't sure whether to cheer, condemn, or shut her out. But the country is watching, and for the first time, some aren't afraid to say they're rooting for her.